Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back. It is time for the combo Wombo. I'm Mr. Gimpy, and to my side here is Chipped Monk. How's it going today, brother?
It's going really good, man. I feel like we're in a constant state of one-upsmanship. Like I overslept here, and then you're like, "Hold on, I'll be back in 30 minutes." As soon as I got on, you're like, "I just got to take care of this real quick." And I was
No,
like, "How do I show up an hour late and you're still late, bro? Doesn't make sense."
there's a status quo that we have to keep. It's like I always show up like what 3 5 minutes late about because like by the time I set my alarm to like 15 minutes before we start, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I set my alarm, and then like I got up, and it just said you missed your alarm. And I'm like, this is the worst alarm on my phone ever. Like it's the default one.
See, my problem is I don't take the account that I have to just take a quick sit down before we start. So like the shit that I just assume will take 5 minutes like goes up to like 7 8 minutes, depending on my dinner the night before. So then I'm like, okay, now I have to make coffee, and by that time I'm like texting you because I'm like downstairs, but I'm waiting for the coffee to brew. So I'm like, it'll take like 2 minutes to brew coffee, and it doesn't. And I just like hop on, and yeah, shit happens.
What do you use?
Well,
Are you using like the old pot, the old?
no, I got Keurig now. I got Keurig in K cups, so
Oh,
it's a lot better.
fancy,
Like
bro.
I mean, I've had the Keurig. It's just from like the stay at home stuff. Uh, I didn't have to like take the time to like pre-prepare coffee before work. Now it's just like I'm working from home, so I could just take the nice drip coffee, take my time, brew like a 12 cupper, and just sip on it all day. So like the Keurig wasn't in use, but I'm like for the pod, it's gonna increase my time to live. So
Yeah,
that's what it was. And when you showed up,
we need to get to the next level where we have assistants.
oh, for sure, that's probably 2 weeks from now, right?
How do you feel about leasing a building to do this pod in?
I mean, what's funny is those like mini offices that are like small cubicles with like a
Yeah,
door. They're not expensive.
that's what I was looking at it, bro.
Yeah,
Like
dude, that's
$100 a month or something crazy.
yeah, yeah. That actually
Especially
might
right now.
yeah, that might not be a bad idea. I think like the only because I think probably by you would probably be easiest, huh?
Yeah,
Just
there's a
since
lot of
since you're
downtown
by like
office
office.
spaces.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Maybe we should look into that. But I
start
mean,
cruising our options. It's tough because
yeah.
like whenever you type in like audio studio, because I'm like, oh, it needs to be kind of relatively quiet.
Hmm.
Like photography studios always pop up. And it's like, oh, rent this location.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
There,
the most basic ground research has been done for this already because I was already thinking about it months
yeah.
ago.
It could be cool. I mean, and not only for just the pod. I mean, depending on the size of the space, we could use it for other things too if need be. I
Never
don't know
been
off the top of my
battles.
head, but yeah, for sure. Uh, but yeah, the one of the bigger reasons that I was late is because my daughter woke up and came downstairs, and so I had to like situate her and satiate her entertainment needs with Netflix and a granola bar, and then I was like, all right. Dad has to record. Give me a minute. She's
Most
like, all right.
basics.
How long's a minute? I was like, you know what? Let me stretch it. 1 hour. Give me one
You're
hour.
like, it's
And
10 of these episodes. Just watch this series.
oh, dude, she
It's until the show says up and comes up and says, "Are you sure you're still watching?" It's
yeah,
just
yeah. That's
go get dad.
yep. That's exactly what it is. So I
That's
set
one
it
minute.
to yeah. So it's 4 episodes of the show she's watching upstairs. So I'm like, if we hear just some like my door slide open and a baby voice, that's her coming down going, the hell you at?
Yeah,
But
man.
it'll be
So
decent.
it's kind of the troubles I've been in this week with Minecraft
Yeah.
is managing my Minecraft farm. It's kind of like managing real people. I can say that because I don't have any kids.
Yeah.
Uh, but it got out of control. Like I didn't know like when you feed the animals, that's when they're like that's their cue to like start multiplying.
Yes.
I thought you just had to take care of them by feeding them like a normal animal. It's like, oh, it's a new day. I better feed these animals. And it got to the point where there's like hundreds of them in like this like little barn, and I was like, you know what? I can't be like part of this, so I just opened up the doors. It's like, be free, animals, be free. But there's so many, they just like hung around my area. So
Yeah.
now like my entire like area is just full of animals. It's unfortunate.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's Minecraft is wacky, man. Did you notice that like it doesn't that it doesn't have a gender? So you could feed whatever animal whatever and they'll mate with another one. And
I didn't think that deeply about it, dude.
If you pay close attention, it like randomly picks which, if it's pigs, which one will pop it out. Does what, Steve?
Yeah, the main character.
Yeah, totally does.
I don't know. Maybe he's just genderless as well. He's just a genderless
doesn't he have a beard? Like, doesn't he?
No, dude, he's just like chilling, bro. Like you can check the general chat. Like you can see right there.
Yeah. What's the
like a goatee? Are you saying that?
That's what I thought.
Can't grow goatees, bro.
I am saying that. I'm 100% saying that.
Shadow?
That is my stance. Yes.
I don't know. You know.
I think from an evolutionary.
Gender neutral goatee.
There's no gender neutral goatee.
Maybe it's a scarf, dude. I don't know. It's pixelated. Maybe it's fake.
That's true.
Maybe it's a little.
Just a patch and just rips it off like Mission Impossible. Just.
That's right.
What's the female Minecraft character's name?
I've only seen the default one. Like I don't know.
Yeah, there's a default female.
My default one with the Venom skin.
There you go.
So, I don't know whatever gender Venom is.
We just have Venom making an animal utopia.
I'll show you what's going on in my world, dude. What we're doing, I got technology here. I'm sitting here explaining it for the audio only people, but I can pop open a Minecraft world, dude. I'm not above that. This is my show and tell. I've never played Minecraft, so it's a big deal for me. Hold on. Let's see. Takes a while to boot up. Which is surprising.
Well, the Java one is notoriously poorly optimized, which I think is kind of what you get.
So we're just discussing this. Do you think Microsoft has failed since they've bought up the Minecraft to like? Because there's like so much like optimization and stuff that's done by the community.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's a failure by Microsoft's part to like barely do anything to this game?
Not at all. I think that Minecraft was the ultimate turnkey operation. I think actually Microsoft took Minecraft to the moon, dude. You have it on every single device you can think of. There is no point in your day where you don't have access to Minecraft. Yeah, it's incredible. It's on like it being on the Switch, the PS4, PS3, Xbox One, the Xbox 360. You have Minecraft Worlds, where it's cross-platform joining. I know that my niece was really big into Minecraft for a while. Pulls out her tablet for school and goes, "I'm joining my friend's world." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." She's like, "He's playing on the Xbox." I was like, "That's cool." You know, so I mean, it's incredible. There is no point where you're not playing Minecraft, which I think is really cool from Microsoft's standpoint. So you have the RTX filter on.
By, like, splitting it into like the two different versions, so it can optimize the newer one.
Yeah.
And leave behind the old one, but not ruin the old one.
Yeah, and it seems like the old one's just open for the community now. They're like, go nuts, it's fine.
Yeah.
Are they still doing bug fixes for the old one?
What?
Are they still doing bug fixes for the Java one?
Not really. I think they said they're about to stop supporting it altogether. They just had one, but...
Oh, okay. But see, like the fancy filter you have on for the lighting and stuff looks cool.
Yeah, this is all my animals over here. They used to be in this big pen.
Yeah. Oh, they broke out?
And now they just kind of hang out. This is my hot tub over here. What's up, chicken?
Okay.
Yeah, see, I got Venom as my default skin up here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just running around as this Minecraft armor.
I'm
so used to playing other games that keep trading the wrong buttons to open things.
Oh yeah,
Got like a
yeah,
second floor up here. Check things out. Got a little fireplace here.
yeah, man.
It's so
How many
weird,
hours
like
have you
the,
put in Minecraft so far?
I don't know, probably like 20 or so. Is there like a count somewhere that tells you?
I think. Do you run the server or no?
No, this is just like the local
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah,
sheet.
then I don't think you can see it.
My sheet.
Yeah, dude, this is so. The last time we spoke, you said that you were just getting into Minecraft. You missed the hype. Now you've been playing it for I think 2 weeks now, maybe longer. Um,
Yeah.
and you said that it's okay, not a sex dungeon.
Yeah, dude.
Are you still saying it's okay, or has your
Yeah,
opinion of
it's
it even
like
grew
after I
more?
built my whole base here, like I'm basically like nothing left for me to do. I think people say like there's like about getting the armor and stuff,
Hmm.
to get the diamond stuff. I got all that. I know there's like stuff in like the nether world and you can fight the ender dragon. We already beat the ender dragon like me and my buddies like day 2.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that took us about like 8 hours of total gameplay.
Yeah.
Which confused our younger buddy who's like, "How did you guys beat it so fast?" I was like, "We're pro gamers. We're also adults." Like it didn't take, like we were min maxing the shit out of this game where it was like all of us like went down like 4 people deep and we just like did like a grid and like grid farmed like the necessary materials to get like the best like diamond armor.
Yeah.
And after that, like we just went and destroyed the ender dragon. Like the AI in this game is not the best.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of the giant Slendermen or the
the
Endermen? Sorry.
the
Yeah.
endermen, they're pretty
Yeah.
cool. I don't know, they only harass you if you look at them.
Yeah.
One showed up in my base at one point.
Because it was too tall.
I guess so. He
Yeah.
was just like in there and like he stole some dirt and then like was just looking around for trouble and then ran off, dude.
The Endermen, I think, are the it's the best of low poly like horror. I felt
Okay. I feel
because
this
when
game
you're
is really good at jump scares.
yes
It's
with
like a bunch of tight, narrow areas.
yep.
It's my Christian Minecraft server.
uh,
Yeah, it's a bunch of tight, narrow areas, and then there's just like random monster spawners that can just like hop out of
yep,
nowhere.
yep.
So you're
Uh,
constantly like getting jump scared by something.
One of my favorite memories is playing this with my wife when we were co-oping on the Xbox One. Um, I like to dig like giant tunnels and then build like an underground arboretum with like glass on the top, and then I had like a river that I fed into my underground area. And I was like, "Hey, can you just drop like some seeds down to grow like a tree for me?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." I didn't have enough lighting or whatever, so an Enderman spawned as she was like dropping seeds off for me, and we heard it. You always hear it before you see it. I feel she turns around and it's like clipping in the level to where
Yeah.
the point where it spawned, it was tall enough, but everywhere else it was too short. So
What the fuck was that damage, my guy? Oh! 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 Ah, you bitch, you bitch. Oh shit.
bye. All right. So we
Tossing
so
these to you.
so she turns around and there's the Enderman legs and it's doing its Enderman noises, which I'll add in here. And so she turns around, just screams at the top of her lungs, and it's the funniest thing because it's such a simple design and simple thing, but it to actually elicit that level of just fear is incredible. So I think that as a sandbox, Minecraft is head and shoulders above most efforts,
Yeah,
and
I think
definitely something to look to.
it's one of the games where you need like summer vacation and friends to really keep you engaged.
Mm,
Because it's like it's like you said, it's a sandbox. You make your own fun type of thing.
yeah,
And it's kind of like after we ran off like mission objectives of things to do, we're like, okay, we beat the game. Okay, uh, yeah, it's like there's nothing left for us to do at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. That's
So-
true. So, so what I've been playing, yesterday I beat Cyber Shadow, which I mentioned last week I was playing. I think last week I said it would probably be a 6 or 7 out of 10 for me, and I don't think it could get higher than that. Honestly, it got higher than that. The final stage and the final boss battle really elevated the game to the point where it's an 8 out of 10 for me. My biggest gripe is the pacing is what I wouldn't have done. I like it. So when you unlock abilities, you unlock everything towards like the legitimate midway point of the game. I would have done it like 2 stages earlier, just so you can play around with it more. And the game encourages you to go back and find secrets because you have new abilities that you didn't have before, which I'm not that type of guy. I don't go back and explore unless it's like billed as an actual Metroidvania, but this one was levels that you could just like work back to.
New Game Plus? Do you hit up New Game Pluses?
Most likely no. I think
I've only done it one time in a game. It was like an RPG.
yeah. I'm trying to think if I've ever done it. I don't think so. Like even the Dark Souls series and stuff like that. Even the game that I'm about to talk about, I did not. So after Cyber Shadow, I loaded up Nioh 2, which just came out on PC this Friday. I absolutely loved Nioh 1. Nioh was made by Team Ninja of course, Ninja Gaiden fame and Dead or Alive. So it blends Souls-like combat and with like Ninja Gaiden's speed. And Team Ninja was already known for having like difficult but fair games. So really, it's really in their wheelhouse. Nioh 2, or for Nioh 1, I completed the game, beat the true final boss, who was a pushover. Spent probably 40 to 50 hours in the game on my first playthrough. And everyone who loves that game goes, yeah, the real game starts when you hit New Game Plus. For me, I'm like, I spent 50 hours in this game. I beat all of the bosses here. I know there's more stuff, but once I'm done with the narrative, even if the narrative didn't intrigue me, I don't find a reason to go back to the game, even if I like truly enjoyed it. If I do another playthrough, sure, it would start from New Game Plus, but I don't have like the time or the drive to just jump right back in. It's weird. I think the last time that I even attempted a New Game Plus before like just kind of moving on to someplace else was it was an RPG, I think, and I can't remember what it is, but yeah, it's just really not for me. As far as the game I'm playing, Nioh 2, so far I'm enjoying it. The combat has been refined. One of the big like gameplay things of the game is it incorporates almost an active reload mechanic from Gears of War into melee combat.
Okay.
So you're yeah. So your stamina, which is your like key meter, with each slash it goes down, and like your sword depletes of energy, or your sword or whatever weapon you have, and you hit the reload button, but it's like the key pulse button, and you reverberate energy, and if you time it right, your stamina all gets restored, and you can keep attacking. So it's a very, very cool, engaging like method of evolving the Souls like formula and just kind of spinning it on its head. So I've been enjoying that game so far. So far, Nioh 2 seems easier than Nioh 1, and I'm not sure if it's because it is easier or the fact that I already know how to play the series. Yeah. So who knows? But so far, I'm enjoying it. I just played it a little bit. I think I only played it for like an hour and a half, and I'm on the second mission. First mission, I beat the like optional boss that's like a replica of the first boss in the game, and looking at the achievement list, only 30% of people did that. So it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like how I went out and just beat that boss. Like only 30% of people who own the game did it that way, at least on Steam. So that made me feel pretty good. Like, oh, hey, I'm actually good at this game. Yeah, exactly.
The higher echelons of gaming.
Exactly. So I think that that's probably going to be the game I focus on for the next couple of days or weeks or however long it takes me to finish it. And I'm sure I'll talk about it more, and maybe we'll have like a. Have you played any of the Souls-like games enough to talk about it?
Okay. Idea of the Souls game.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like RNG in my attack mechanics and stuff. Where I like tough games and I like fair games, but like tough but fair, it's not appealing to me. Like figuring things out through trial and error. Or maybe the newer versions of the Souls games have figured this out, but like I know like the first one is like a lot of like they're in their own world, like nothing's really explained to you. You gotta figure it out. It's like what's a heal, like everything is like not labeled in like conventional like video games. Like this isn't an HP potion, this is an XP bottle or whatever. Like you gotta figure everything out. And they're like they give you items, they don't tell you what they do. It's like, yeah, you gotta look it up, dude. You get on Wikipedia or just do experimentation. You have thousands of hours at your disposal, don't you? It's like I don't.
They do tell you like the items, like the elixirs or Estus Flask, stuff like that. They tell you that. But I think as far as most Souls games go, it's mostly exploration and trial and error through like boss fights and figuring out enemy patterns and timing for things such as parries, blocks, dodges. It's more gameplay trial and error than it is item or like purpose trial and error.
So do you just try and play, or do you like cheese the fuck out of that system?
Oh, I play it. I play through.
See, for me, like this, I would just find like the cheese in there, and that's all I would do for the whole game. And then the second I couldn't do the cheese anymore, like I hit like some boss or enemy that like the cheese doesn't work on, I'd be like, this game's broken, it's bullshit, and then I'd stop playing.
Yeah.
But like until that, like where I'm like, cheesing everything, I'm feeling good about life. Like that's the path I would go.
I get that, and there are definitely builds in the Soul series where it's pretty cheesy. Like Demon Souls, for example, magic's very strong, so you can just do like a really high magic build and cheese a lot of it. I think a big plus with the Soul series, we're just gonna keep on here, is the world design and the atmosphere is so just engrossing, and outside of the actual like Metroid Prime, Metroidvania style games, Dark Souls and Demon Souls Dark Souls more because Demon Souls was like instances, but it took that exploration of Metroidvanias and really adapted it super well to an action RPG world. And there's always a sense of discovery with the majority of these games. As far as the Souls series goes, and then like their offshoots such as Sekiro and Bloodborne. So far, Bloodborne and Sekiro are my favorite because of the combat speed. And Bloodborne has a Lovecraftian kind of vibe going, which I really enjoy that setting. So yeah, I think that From Software really found a great lane. Unfortunately, it seems that it means that it's other franchises that you grew up loving, such as Armored Core or my personal favorite, Chromehounds, isn't getting any love, but they're making money, and we'll see how Elden Ring does.
Stay in business, bro.
True.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. So as far as survival games and like item management and not figuring out what to do, you were telling me right before the pod that you tried Rust out.
Yeah. So this is the next step. You start off in Minecraft, and now you're on full on Rust. I don't know. Like, yeah, I got it because my one buddy was like, I want mine because he's the one who was playing like Minecraft. Well, he's like, I want Minecraft, but more combat focused, more like survival based. And I was like, bro, you're talking about Rust. And he's like, is it? I was like, how come nobody ever talks about it? And then like he went to like store like on Steam, and he was like, 48 of my friends own this game already. I was like, yeah, dude, everybody plays Rust at some point. He's like, do you have it? I was like, no, I've never played it. So you could kind of put a pin in that. And like sidebar here, what I should have said is like, I haven't played it, but I watched a ton of like YouTube content about Rust.
Yeah.
Because it's a bunch. It's basically machinima. I don't know if you guys remember machinima.
Yeah, totally.
But a lot of people do that because like the mouth moves in Rust while you're talking in real life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like maps it a bit. So a lot of people will get like their buddies on a private server and make like little home movies
Okay.
based in the Rust world. They're pretty entertaining, pretty good. The one I enjoyed the most and haven't been able to find it was like a Nat Geo as Rust. And like the guy goes, he's like, a naked spawns on a beach. And he like goes through, he's like, and like I'll do that from him all the time because like he always says like hardcore parkour.
Yeah.
He's like, there's only one way out of this situation, hardcore parkour. And he jumps up beside of like a mountain or a base and like throws a spear down at somebody.
Yeah.
And like kills somebody. It's great.
Awesome.
So like there's some really entertaining ones, some really bad ones.
Yeah.
So I've watched a ton of Rust content. So we're like starting off in the world, and like I have to suffer these fools. And I'm already like a Rust Chad from the videos, of course.
Sure.
And I'm terrible at the game because like you're watching somebody play like 50,000 hours, and they could like take a spear, like hit somebody across the map with it.
Yeah.
And then like there's us in the map where I'm like, how come these aim like there's no reticle? Like this shit's impossible to aim.
Yeah. Now, do you like Rust, or is it like more than Minecraft, or can you compare it, or would you rather play one over the other?
I liking Rust. I wish my buddies were better at Rust.
Got it.
Because like I don't know, they don't know how to read maps. So like you'll be on a grid system, and you're like, oh, I'm at this space. Let's meet up at this space. And they're like, I'm dead. I can't figure it out. So there's a lot. That's like 3 hours of our Rust adventure was like all trying to get together in one area.
I feel like Rust will scratch that Lineage 2 itch for you because like it's all PvP all the time. Like you said, like you told me that Lineage was, and I'm guessing that like kind of looking like always, having your head on a swivel, looking to see who's going to attack you is appealing to you.
Look around in that game.
Yeah.
While you're running.
Yeah, so I feel like that'll appeal to you a lot. I will say that I don't like Rust, but I typically don't like survival games. And this is gonna sound like the weirdest thing coming from me because I enjoy designing levels as far as game dev, like but I hate base building. It is the worst for me. It's so tedious. Managing all of the like materials and stuff just takes forever. I don't know if it's that I don't like the base building or if I don't like the gathering of materials. I don't know what it is, but like whenever I hear there's base building and crafting in a game, I immediately go, yeah, I'll play something else. Just on the top of my head, because I think I just don't want to like remember these recipes on how to make things. I don't want to learn it. It seems like there's a barrier before I even get there, and I don't know if it's time, age, or what, but it immediately turns me off.
Was it you and I who were talking about this at one point where I was like, is there a way for video games to do this with useful information?
No, it wasn't me, but I get where you're going.
Yeah,
with
where I'm like, if you're gonna spend like hundreds of hours like learning, like, because like when I was like playing Minecraft with people who played it a lot, I was like, how do I make this? And they would just rattle off the recipe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do you know this off the top of your head? Like they didn't have to look it up. I'm like, what a fucking useless nugget of information to have.
Yeah.
But like there wasn't like the built-in table when they started playing the game, and you had to look up a lot of stuff on Wikipedia.
Yep.
So they just had to memorize stuff, like rote memorization. And I was like, is there a way to like do this in a video game, but for useful information? Like, what if like they were like like Japanese characters instead? Where it's like, oh, you get like parts of like a different like kanji character, and like you have to put it together to make like the actual thing. So your crafting tables like are parts of like the
Like
kanji or like a Spanish letters or something or of the alphabet, and it's like you have to like each item is like tied to like an alphabet thing, and like now you have to use like a Spanish word to create like the actual object. Like
that's interesting using it as a way to teach people skills and like languages that will affect the outside world. That's actually
yeah,
a
instead of like
decent
arbitrary
idea.
shit where it's like, oh, you need like 3 pieces of bat guano, like horse testicles, and this is how you get like your +3 staff of insight. It's like, why not just give people useful information?
I think yeah, that could work really well, especially in, like something like science too. Like if you play
Yeah, like
like a
mathematics.
math game, yeah. If you play like a game where you're a wizard, you have to use alchemy and combine different like properties and stuff. You can use real world stuff and have real
Like
world
mathematical
results.
formulas
But
or
and then
chemical compositions,
exactly,
where it's like it's
that's
2 hydrogens, and like
yeah, that's actually an incredible idea. I think too, though, with that, unless you're like an expert on the subject matter, it's a lot of
I don't even
research on
want
the
it
game
because
devs
like
end.
it just needs to be like even if you learned like elementary level stuff,
Hmm.
at least like you have like a higher like fun that you didn't have before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Because like a lot of
that's
that
a
stuff
decent
like
idea.
you start to forget as you get older anyway. So it's like if you could get like the K through 12 like knowledge base
Yeah,
or take it as high as you want. Like you
I
could have
think
like each level or whatever. You know.
yeah. So during the pandemic, one thing that I read about was some teachers who are also gamers and owned, a VR headset were using Half-Life Alyx to teach. There's a point in the game where you're in a classroom and you can pick up chalk and write on a chalkboard. So what they were doing was like streaming their gameplay of Half-Life Alyx, but using it as an actual classroom. So I think that that is an incredible idea, and I think the industry also seems to have realized it, but only a few studios seem to are be trying to push that idea forward. And like we'll take PC Builder for example, license a bunch of real world parts, and you actually go in and build a PC. It's not quite 1-to-1, but I think for the most part, you know where things go now. So if someone wants to build a new PC, buys all the stuff, they have that knowledge from the game on where things should go.
I saw
Um,
that with the like car
yeah,
simulator
there's
as well, the
Mechanic Simulator
garage.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, where it's
yeah, I
like kind of like you're saying, where it's like not 1-to-1, but it's like pretty close. Where it's like as soon as you
yeah,
like stuff to fix a car, like it teaches you basic diagnostic stuff of like a car, where it's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, which I think is awesome. Obviously, some games like take it to the other level, like Surgeon Simulator. It's just
but yeah, it's
wacky,
just
like physics
goofy.
based stuff. Yeah, which I
It's kind
also
of like you're
enjoy.
saying though, where there's like a ceiling to like what amount of knowledge you can give somebody in a game, where that be like practical and fun still. There's
Yeah,
like a weird, XY where it's like on one side you have like the horse testicle and back guano, and on the
yeah,
other side it's like how do I teach somebody like how to like operate like on a hippocampus or whatever, like the human brain.
yeah. That's a decent idea. I don't think I'd have the personal patience to make something like that, but I would love to play something like that.
I would say like it'd be interesting if people just start like considering that more like as they're building games, like maybe give people useful information. like
Yeah,
uh feel like every mechanic in here that like requires like some sort of like you're saying like whenever it's like crafting or like base building, like maybe just consider take a moment and be like, is there a way to apply these problems to like a useful thing? How can I respect my players' time more and like have them like actually benefit them, give them a tangible real world benefit uh,
yeah,
to like playing my game and like figure out where the fun is in that like because like somehow you make like running around like chopping down 50,000 trees and like digging like the Mariana Trench you know, somewhat fun.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just like just under the text or something, like just add something where it's like, oh yeah, I used like this what's it called, like mnemonics or whatever, like a mental image
Mnemonics, yeah.
for memorization.
Yep.
Use that to you know, make things easier for the player, but also they're learning something with it.
Yeah. It's like a more advanced flashcard is what
Yeah.
is what
Yeah,
it
that's all
is.
I'm saying. Just add little flashcards of knowledge in there.
Yeah, I that's interesting. And on the topic of like using gaming as like a backdoor tool to education, gaming and game dev just kind of is at a weird spot right now where I feel movies were in the spot about 40 years ago to where more adult fare was becoming more common. Um, and there was a in the public school system here that I won't dox everyone, but there's a 3D program designed for sex education, where it it's they asked them to go back to the drawing board because they showed you like you as a player did too much, in like sexual activity, and this is supposed to be marketed towards like preteens, 12, 13, 14, that age range. I said it was too graphic, but going back and playing like the original God of War, which came out on the PS2 in the early 2000s, there was a sex minigame. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a sex minigame. Going forward, like Dante's Inferno had some nudity involved, which it's based on a classic Dante's Inferno. Obviously like this in the circles of hell. So like that period and setting kind of like nudity is just a part of it. It's a part of the art. It's not meant to sexualize. So I think, and this might be a U.S. thing, to where like nudity and sexualization seems to be 1-to-1, but they're obvious. I feel they're two separate things.
Yeah, the world's apart.
Yeah, yeah, which are our country just really has to do a better job of going. Yes, they're two separate things. So I think something like where the industry is, we're getting more horror games where like sex and nudity is just a part of the game. It's not like a tantalizing feature. And but then the horror games are dealing with like more intense subject matter, like you can cut off certain body parts or like or engage in like a sexual act or something, and then it gets depraved where you like stab them with like a bunch of hooks as you're experiencing some of this stuff.
Describe me, bro. You got going on.
No, what I'm saying is
Keep
that
it to your own fantasy world.
no. This is a real game. Agony and Succubus are the two games I'm thinking of, and it's definitely not safe for work. If you guys choose to look this up, I will not link it. But
this be telling me about is
it's enough. But I think it's interesting though, because these are indie studios, producing this. And Agony, for example, got a huge backlash for the amount of depravity in the game.
Yeah.
But
like even like a simpler game like Rust, like
mm-hmm.
everybody's naked in that, running around.
Yeah.
It's part of like the survival immersion experience.
Yeah.
But I think they also have to have an option where you can like blur out everything for if you stream it anywhere like Twitch or YouTube or whatever. Like...
Yeah. No, I don't think that you like if Twitch, has like a younger audience, there's no real.
I would say it goes back to like what brought us here in the first place. Is like you're saying, like the video game industry as a whole has been skewed more towards like adult content, and so everything kind of gets lumped in as it's for kids, but they're building it for a mature audience.
Yes.
And it's like, hey man, this shit isn't for children.
Yeah.
And like we have like video game ratings and stuff on it, but then like there's kind of like there's Nintendo and what like the games Nintendo makes for like kids, And then
Yeah.
there's like nobody else really in that space right now. Like
No,
trying.
they have a complete monopoly on
I
that.
mean, there's like the IPs, like you'll see like a SpongeBob game or like Nickelodeon will have like their games that they have been putting out and producing.
Yep.
Like
True.
Ben 10 or whatever. Like you'll see like that's it. There's like Nintendo, Minecraft, Nickelodeon, and that's it. Then there's like
Yeah.
everybody else is like, we're gonna make us a first-person shooter or a horror survival game, or like we're gonna put as many adult themes as we can in here because that's what's selling right now.
Yeah, yeah. So this is where I wanted to go with this. So with on that end of the spectrum, we have something like those games where it's depraved or the like nudity is used
It seemed like
for
you just
funny
kind of
stuff
get
or
lost in that.
no. I
Those
wasn't.
were
I
just
wasn't.
tits, dude.
So
You're God. You're like,
so
suck your puss. The legs are like chicken tenders wrapping around your face. You're like, what are you going on about, bro? It's like greasy chicken wings. Like
so we have that
in a
and
bucket of greasy chicken. That's what it's like, bro. I'm like, what? Where are you going with this?
the worst part is I'm a big horror fan, so like I've seen worse things in movies and like
It's
in
like
print
wet
media
spaghetti.
yeah, than the games are portraying. But we have that end, right? And there's a bunch of backlash and stuff for these developers from AAA studios or Steam in general. They're like, should Steam host these types of games or should they be rated X and then you have to go to a special site where you need age verification to get it? I don't think you have to do that. I think that games like any other art form should just be out there. Obviously it's up to like parents and stuff to see what their kids are watching.
I'm all for it, dude. I think Steam needs to add like a saloon style doors to the back, where you click on the saloon style doors and you get access to like the more adult content.
Yeah.
And you can kind of like see over the top, but like all the images are like just kind of blurred out, like all the cover art. You can't really see what's going on back there.
Yeah.
And then like you have to hit open the saloon doors with like the age verification.
But I think that the thing with that though, on the other side of it, when we were growing up and games were for kids, like I'd say like the 90s were definitely my growing up period. We had
the Nintendo and Sonic and Sega.
Yep, we had Sonic, Aero the Acrobat, Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, like all of these mascot characters. It was all bubbly, fun, funny. Like one of my favorites growing up, Earthworm Jim, definitely had like the slapstick humor in it. And as I felt as we aged, games also aged. Like
the people buying video games, like even up until like 5-10 years ago, people were still being like, "Oh, video games are for losers, as they are for children." Like if you're an adult who's playing video games, like you're not contributing to society at all. Like you're a failure.
Right.
You're not an adult at that point. Like this is like recent. It wasn't until like we've aged up to the point of like, oh, you guys are actually just responsible adults, and this is just like a fun pastime. Like
right, you're doing this instead of
sports or like anything else. Like
yep.
It makes you wonder, like, what did all these old people do before video games?
I honestly am struggling to remember what like I'll say like my parents did for fun outside, like go to the bar,
go
watch
a movie.
Watch a movie, yeah.
I remember like hanging out, talking,
a lot of sports
face to face. That was huge.
Yeah.
Like usually some sort of liquor is involved.
Yeah.
Just hanging out with the buddies at their house, having a couple of brews, but
right, just chatting or something.
Life. Yeah, it's basically Facebook before Facebook.
it was in person. Yeah,
it was actual face to face instead of face to book.
Yeah.
That's what life used to be like, man.
So what I'm finding myself is I've been missing that like bubblegum happy feel game. So I find myself playing more Nintendo stuff now off stream and things. Like I still love like ninja action games, obviously, from what I'm playing, and hyper violent things like Doom Eternal. But like Cuphead was like a huge breath of fresh air for me. Like I'm playing Shovel Knight as well, casually. Mega Man, stuff like that, where I think in like the mid to like '07, so like let's say 2013, games were in their like angsty teenage years where everything was like grim, dark, bloody, hyper violent, bunch of muddled browns and things like that. And
Gunmetal
outside,
Gray.
yeah, exactly. Outside of like Nintendo when they released like Mario Galaxy and things like that, where they are still in their vein. Um, but I think that as the next like this generation, I feel will be the generation where gamers and game devs are kind of meeting for the first time in a long time, to
I mean,
where
there was a bit of a like every time it happens, like
mm,
it always gains like some traction. Like when you had like Flower or Journey, or
yeah,
like those are the big ones. But that was like '09, I think, when those came out or something
yep,
like that. I just threw out
yep.
a random date. It sounded
No,
right.
it's about right.
Uh,
Yeah,
and that was like a long time ago already. So I
yeah,
think what happens is those type of games are harder to make.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
I was
think
gonna
like in the
say.
indie space, like much like in indie film, like
Hmm.
horror is way easier to do and way cheaper. And
Yeah,
like if it hits big. Like this weekend,
yeah,
like your Five Nights of Freddy or like your Slender Man game or like any game you're trying to make, like, add like the horror element on top of.
yeah.
So we talked more like last week about like the minimum viable product and all this. Uh,
Hmm.
I think if you have like a clunky, horrible controlling game, and you're like, what can we do to like make this better?
Yeah.
It's like the easy answer is like we just add some scary shit on top of it to distract from
Say it's a
how
feature.
yeah how bad like the underlying mechanics are for our game.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of like I was even saying, where I was like, oh, I kind of want to make a throwback like Resident Evil with the tank controls and stuff.
Yeah, I think though, like the tank controls, was a huge thing to like crap all over, but it did add like a level of tension for how clunky it was. Like it, and 3D was so new at the time
Yeah,
where
nobody
you
knew how to do
couldn't,
it right.
nobody knew how to do it. Where those games I feel aged a lot better than the true 3D games that of that era. Um, I I think that like if you have ever played Dino Crisis 2,
No,
so that took the tank style controls and the fixed camera, I believe, and I'm sure the commenters will correct me if I'm wrong, which one it was, but they made a basic action game with it, and it felt fine. I think with like Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, they added like the dodge system. It really
yeah,
opened up the tank style controls to a lot more freedom of movement. So
I still
I
feel like any control scheme will work if you build the rest of your game around it. Like you're not gonna
yeah.
have like Twitch fast paced action if you have like tank controls. Like the threat needs to be more lurking and like build towards it.
Hmm.
Uh, kind of
Which,
like
which
if
is
somebody
interesting.
drops like their wheat seeds down the ladder and all of a sudden they turn around, there's Enderman feet
Yeah,
dangling above them. Like
yeah,
you can't have
yeah,
that moment. Like you need like a little bit. You have to have that music swelling up a little bit beforehand.
yeah. True, true. Yeah, no, I think that there's definitely a place a place for that. Yeah, what I was saying is, so how they're gonna meet, I feel is kind of shows what's popular now to me. Uh, in let's say like the Xbox, PS2, what was it, the Wii, right? Oh no, GameCube. In that era, the most popular game was Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Auto 3, to San Andreas or Vice City to San Andreas, and you could tell by the sales numbers. Uh, After that, we get there's obviously Halo and like the rise of console shooters happened then, but I'm just speaking in generalities here. Next generation, 360, PS3, Wii, uh, Gears of War, I would say. PlayStation,
I would almost say that like the rise of like the console shooter,
Call of Duty.
yeah, is kind of why like when we're also talking about like last week with the Z axis,
Hmm.
it ruined verticality almost for that entire genre for like 2 decades.
Yeah,
Like because everyone was like designing. Like I remember like watching Ramiro like talk about like when he was designing Doom, He was
Yeah.
like, I don't want this to feel like it could have been in Castle Wolfenstein, like any level of this.
Yeah.
And so like everything has like some verticality in that, and then like you could see like with things. Oh man, the name's escaping me. With like Magic, I forgot. It's like a Magic first-person shooter.
Hexen or
Yeah, Hexen.
Heretic?
You can see like
Okay.
Hexen, like it's more open, like even like Quake 3, where it's like
Yeah.
open space arena style,
Mhm.
like things are happening on like 3 or 4 levels high. And then
Yeah.
like you get to Halo, and it's like beautiful open fields and stuff, but everything happens like in a flat plane, and then like you go into everything else happening in a flat plane. Uh, so you're
For the
thinking
most
about it,
part,
you're like, yeah,
yeah.
shit, I bet you're right.
For the most part, I mean, Halo had vehicles and
It
stuff
wasn't
too,
until
which
like
is still like
Halo 3 or 4 where you got into like a flying ship where you could start shooting around more.
Halo
And
One
then it was
had
like
it.
in the ship combat.
Halo One had the Banshee, and Halo Two had an entire Banshee-oriented level, which is like the first Arbiter mission in Halo Two was the Banshee-centric mission. I think Halo is kind of an outlier though, because I think for the most part you're right of that generation, where it was mostly um, flat planes or even like slightly elevated for snipers and stuff, but you weren't really like jump padding to places like in the
Took a step back to
90s.
Wolfenstein almost. They
I
had
don't
to like
think
relearn
yeah,
all the lessons.
yeah, and a lot of the you were gearing towards console aiming, but yeah, so we have that era, to the Xbox One to PS4 era, where I think it was another learning point for developers, judging from how long it took to get a killer app for each console. And on top of that, the killer app ended up being a multi-platform free release, being Fortnite, which definitely scales younger. But seeing how we went from hyper-violent things to like a Fortnite to being like the
Cartoony
most
violent
popular
thing.
game, cartoony violent. I think that this console generation will be the great equalizer. Like we'll have great games in the mature category, we'll have great teen games, and we already have amazing E for everyone games, or like Odyssey,
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey, like the Zeldas are always bangers. Things like
Breath
that.
of
I
the
think
Wilds.
yeah, exactly. So I think that this generation
Pokemons.
that we're experiencing right now has the potential to be the best gaming generation of all time. And I think it owes
I
it
think it
to
was
the
probably
industry.
the PlayStation 4, Xbox 360 era.
Or
Just because it
PS3
was so
360.
long, I don't think you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have like another long refresh cycle
Yeah,
like that for a while.
yeah,
Maybe things will be different this time, but I think it was like 12 years we stayed on development on those two platforms. And so like what you're talking about like
it's like
happened
7 years.
organically over time,
Yeah.
like just like the library, the breadth of like genres
Mm-hmm.
and categories. Like that's where you have like Flower and Journey and like all this other stuff. Like you could get into like they have everything on those things.
It also
They
was
got
the
like
rise of indies too.
what?
It was the rise of indies around the
Yeah, the
360 era.
XNA and
Yep.
PLA stuff or whatever. And
Yeah.
PS4, like PlayStation went around like trying to buy up a bunch of indie developers or at least get
Yep.
them licensed on the platform.
Yep, it was the first time that consoles were accessible for a single dev or a small team dev.
Yeah.
It's definitely an incredible time. Yeah, we won't have that again, but I think that
So I think this is like the opposite of what you're thinking almost. Like this next generation
mhm,
is going to be the consolidation of all that.
okay,
It's just they're gonna leverage their library, their existing library, and get
yeah,
it all online. And it's going to be games as a service. So there's not going to be like a lot of innovation or anything. It's going to be uh, we have all this stuff. We have plenty of innovation and ideas and stuff out there, and we're going to leverage that existing IP library onto games as a service. Like we want to be the Netflix of video games, and I think that's what you're seeing right now. It's like a race between Xbox, Sony, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon. They're all like starting like to build out their platforms to try and get you on there.
though
Maybe Steam will also try something.
Interesting. I could see that because you're right. It's like Xbox Game Pass, PS Now, or
Have you
kind of
seen
like the
PS Now, man?
Netflix. Yeah, I have. It's I think that the big players in cloud gaming, like Google, seems to be wrapping up Stadia and considering it a failed experiment. They just stopped. They stopped all first party development. They're not making a game anymore. They were going to make Stadia exclusive games. It's not happening. Amazon's like rumored cloud service with
They've had like
AWS isn't
already on
happening.
forever, bro.
Yeah, and Secret World is still not coming out. Or was it Secret World or New World? I can't remember
I don't know. They had
what their
one
new
game
game's
they
called.
dropped, and it was so bad that they pulled it right away.
Uh, God, I can't even remember the name of that game. But
It was
yeah,
like
yeah,
it
that's
happened for a day, dude. They're like, we spent 10 years and billions of dollars developing this game. But it came out and didn't have like the user acquisition. They're like, never mind, pull it.
well. Did you play it? I played it. I
No.
can't remember the name of it. No, it's like
It was probably a good game, dude. They're
no,
just
it
like,
wasn't, dude. It
no.
wasn't. It was so this is the problem of making a game. Amazon's game was a game made by people where it was business first. They threw together a bunch of metrics. We're all like, what's popular? What's popular, Jim? Oh, people like MOBAs. People like character shooters. Let's combine everything. And you had this
We'll call it
mishmash hodgepodge of garbage that just skewed to what no Valorant took all Valorant did was go CS:GO is super popular, let's add heroes to it, and it worked
They're
for
like,
them.
CSGO's popular, Overwatch is popular.
Right, but
Smash them together.
that came from an experienced team. Amazon just was like, how do you make a game? Okay, let's make it 3D. Let's make it a MOBA. Let's make it a shooter. Let's make it just even keeled across all plays, so one person can't rise above the others. It was such a piss poor an interpretation of what a game is. It was like if it felt like, have you ever had when you were in school a teacher make like a board game or something, like design kind of like a board game you like, but it just felt like the bargain bin version. It was like buying Monopoly, but it was actually called The Bank.
Monopoly
It made
at home.
right, yeah, exactly. It's like one of those things. It's like, hey, do you want to play Smite?
We have
And
Monopoly at home. Monopoly at
yeah,
home.
yeah, exactly. Amazon's like, hey, you like Smite? You like Smite with guns? Here it is. Like, no, I don't want that, and I don't think they get that. It doesn't. I think each successful game, even games I personally don't like, have soul. You know, like you could tell there's some passion went into the project. Like I'm not a Fortnite fan, but like
Yeah,
with
would,
the characterizations,
respectfully
things like that,
disagree,
there's
bro.
you don't think so?
No, like
Okay.
Electronic Arts would disagree with you, like where they've just been putting out product.
Uh, we'll go back to the '07 era of Electronic
man,
Arts.
come on, I'm talking about today.
Dead Space, Mirror's Edge, stuff like that definitely had soul. Unraveled 1 and
Look
2.
at all the sequels they're getting.
Dead Space had 3 sequels. Mirror's Edge had a sequel. Yeah,
Jesus.
Mirror's Edge also had a sequel.
Just gonna burn them out to death, dude.
There's exceptions to the rule, obviously. But I do think that like Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, I do feel that those games had heart. It definitely was over encumbered by EA's like metrics, but borderline there's something else.
04, 05, playing Battlefield 1942.
Yep.
And thinking, this is amazing. We have 100 people online playing this game.
Yep.
This is going to be huge. As soon as they merge this with like Call of Duty, this is going to be great. It's going to be like the game everybody wants to play.
Yep.
But then they just never did anything with like the Battlefield franchise. They're just like, we'll keep rolling out a Battlefield every like 7 or 8 years.
There's Battlefield every year, dude, or every other.
I mean, now, dude, there's like a dark period where we had like Battlefield Vietnam.
There's
which I think is probably the best Battlefield.
You think Vietnam's Bad Company 2 for me? It combined both schools of thinking into like the perfect cohesion of squad gameplay contributing to a higher value.
I would say Vietnam had vehicles, right, where they had no weapons or anything. They were just like unit transportation, and some of them had
Yeah,
guns
the
on
choppers. Yeah.
them. Yeah, like the choppers where you should have machine guns and stuff on some of them, and you had to coordinate with your teammates to be able to like transport them to like A to B
Yeah.
spot. And you could be very strategic. They were, I'd say, it was the most balanced battlefield, but there wasn't a lot to the game.
Okay.
So like, I think there's like 4 vehicles total and like 3 unit classes, so it's easy to balance. But that being said, it was extremely balanced.
I think you're discounting a lot of Battlefield though. From 1942,
Yeah,
we had
I
Battlefield 2, we had Vietnam, we had 2142. To Bad Company,
Nobody
Bad
plays
Company 2.
2142, bro.
2142 had such a cult following though. Like,
Had mechs, dude.
yeah.
Mechs and anything's gonna have a cult following. Like, you're just talking about Armored Core and whatever.
Yeah. But I personally
You're like,
love
why are we
mechs.
still making Dark Souls? Where's the Dark Souls of Armored Core?
It's
You
funny.
play Armored Core if they just like literally reskinned Dark Souls, but now it's all mechs.
I think that's like a Gundam Wing game now. That I think there's like a one in development.
But they just throw the Armored Core logo on it, though.
Right. I see. What's funny is I love mech games, but I like big lumbering mechs that are like
The American
people
mechs.
call it. Yeah, Western mechs is what people call it. More than the hyper fast like Armored Core Gundam style mechs. I like watching it, but as far as playing things, I like the big slower mechs personally. So, and I'm in the like minority there, so people are all like, "Oh, look at this!" But there's always exceptions to the rule. Like I love the Zone of the Enders franchise and stuff, but yeah, I feel like I got off topic here.
We're talking about games as franchises and games as services.
Yeah. So I think that Microsoft has an interesting take on it this gen of leveraging its recent past, because they're obviously the newest player in the game, but they're the ones outside of Nintendo embracing the hell out of their past more than anyone else. The Xbox Series X has full backwards compatibility from Xbox to current, which is huge. No other console has done that.
That's what PlayStation was always promising and then never delivered because it's too expensive to physically emulate the old hardware.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that Microsoft it's an interesting thing to bank on, and from a nostalgia perspective, it's very smart, because I think that, like, I'll use myself as an example. I've definitely been hit by the nostalgia bug, and I've been playing things that I've grown up with more than things that are out now. Like we were talking about Contra and like Sonic and stuff like that. I beat Contra, the original Contra, like a couple nights ago. I replayed through the first 3 Ninja Gaiden games on the NES. I played Mario Brothers 3 and beat it with my daughter just the other day. So I'm playing more games that I grew up with, and I think Microsoft, realizing what people like my age and around that generation, the people with money to buy consoles, are doing. So they're like, hey, buy this one. You can play everything that's ever been released on this platform, which is very cool. And Nintendo, with their services of like the Super Nintendo, NES channel, things like that, they're doing it, but they're doing it in such a Nintendo way where they're not capitalizing on it properly. I think that Nintendo could probably be the leader in this if, instead of releasing things piecemeal, they just released the entire Super Nintendo catalog, the entire NES catalog on their like pay for service, and that would do gangbusters.
Yeah, they don't understand. Like in Japan, like you have to have metrics to prove everything you want to do.
Yeah.
So they probably release they're like, oh, have this little bite-sized crumb, and then they're like, look, it didn't do the numbers we thought it would do, so I guess it will always be a failure. And it's like, no, Japan, damn it, that's not how things work on the internet. Like, you can't have like a value proposition of like 1,000 to 1, and then like if you have like the lowest minimum buy-in, be like, well, if it scales the opposite, where it's a buy-in proposition of 1 to 1,000 instead of 1,000 to 1. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have one game and you want 1,000% or 100% buy-in on it, rather than like want a 1% buy-in on a 100% catalog of game, like it's completely different buying proposition.
Right.
But they're using the metrics of that to disprove this. It's very old school thinking, and that's what Japan's about, dude. They're about like you have to have a spreadsheet, you have to have metrics, you have to have like a proven track record before they'll even consider getting you into a meeting with somebody who'll give you to another meeting to consider like actually doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I
There's
think
nothing wrong with that, but it's weird. It's frustrating from the outside to be like, you don't understand this would do extremely well. People are already doing this illegally, like,
yeah, yeah,
and you're like missing out. And those same people doing it illegally would gladly give you that money. It's just that like you've given them no other option. You've given them no other like recourse.
yeah, yeah. I could do a entire hour talk on Nintendo's just non-consumer centric business practices and just slapping on the face of people who enjoyed their previous products, but just don't have time for that. So it's about time to wrap up. Um, to put a pin on this topic, do you want to say anything in closing, Chip?
I would say uh, my thesis is games are moving towards as a service, and they're banking on AI to upres all your favorite old games. I think you're seeing that with the NVIDIA like 8K upscaling. I think they're going to
Mhm.
do that with a lot of these older games that people aren't even thinking about, where the original resolution was like 320 by like 480. They're going to
Mhm.
upscale that to like 4K or 8K, so it doesn't look as bad as the products we've been getting, like when they have the artificial like upscaling. So I think there's going to be a lot of like breakthroughs with AI that'll allow for the digital preservation of video games, and that's where I think things are going.
Got it. Got it.
What about
The,
you? Any
for,
closing thoughts, Gimpy, on
so what you said makes a lot of sense as far as upscaling and things like that. I think preservation. I think that this generation, as far as the preservation goes, the big problem is we have digital and digital only. So some releases don't get physical copies. You don't have anyone ripping it. So I hope that these developers and publishers do a with games as a service, especially. We're gonna have some issues keeping some of these games intact, like online only stuff. Like take like the MMOs that are offline now. If someone didn't capture those packets and make like a custom server, that game's lost forever. Um, I hope that this generation reintroduces just like consumer like trust in certain policies. It's not going to happen. I agree with you, but I think that with the advent of social media, things like that, companies are a little more walk on eggshells a little more when announcing things that'll be unpopular. We saw it with Microsoft announcing an Xbox Live Gold price increase, then immediately rolling it back.
I mean, they
We
did that with their whole you need an internet connection to use our video games too.
Yeah, yeah, which is still true because most games that came out this generation were online only. So, were
It
they
just makes
wrong?
sense with
No.
the way development happens now. With like, you need to be able to patch games and all this
Yeah,
tech stuff. And
yeah, yeah. But what I'm hoping for is that if games as a service is a thing, um, I hope it's more consumer friendly than one person controlling everything like Sauron. You know what I mean? Or
yeah,
so we'll see. But like I said, from a development and what games we're getting standpoint, I do think that this generation will have the most parity across the ESRB ratings. I think there's going to be 10 out of 10s in E. I think there's going to be 10 out of 10s in T. And I think there's going to be 10 out of 10s in the mature sector as well. I think that just the age of the industry, the age of us, and the upcoming generation are
the age of
really
man.
in serendipity right now. And that we are going to get just incredible titles from AAA down to one man develops things. So I look forward to it, man. We'll
Absolutely,
see
it's
we'll
going
see
to
what
be
it
great.
goes.
I'm excited about it. Like, no matter which way things go. And also, we got in like our 3 Lord of the Rings references this episode.
Yeah, right,
So,
right.
watch
Yeah,
again. Hit us below in the comments with the timestamps where they happen.
there it is. Subconsciously too. All right,
Yep.
Chip. Well, I will see you next week. I think I want to. I think I want to discuss some fighting game stuff because there's some interesting stuff happening. I'm really big into that genre. Yeah,
We're going to talk about Killer Instinct.
we can talk about whatever we want, man. I think
Game as a
that
Service. That's how they launched it. Did you watch the documentary about that?
I've played it since 2015, brother. Yes,
I've never played it.
Oh, okay.
They released that as a free-to-play, 1 character only. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it next week. All right, for Chipped Monk, I'm Mr. Gimpy. I will see you all next week on the Combo Wombo.
Peace.